Joining us this morning is the Dean of the Manila Adventist College School of Law and Jurisprudence and former defense attorney for the impeachment of former Chief Justice Corona, Attorney Tranquil Salvador III. Good morning, Attorney Tranquil.
Good morning, Attorney Karen.
Okay, so Attorney Tranquil, I'm sure marami na naman tumatawag sa iyo for interviews because of the impeachment trial that we are now facing as a country again. So,
Yes.
what are your comments so far? Yesterday was the first time that the defense bared who will be the defense team, and it's made up of 16 lawyers. And one of the things that were the comments nila ng public dun sa observation nila is that this is the first time na marami yung abogado because in the past daw hindi umaabot ng 16 yung defense lawyers. But based on your experience, what can you say about the composition of the defense team right now in terms of the number?
I would say that the defense team is a law firm, if you would note. It is a law firm, and my understanding is around 3 or 4 of them are not from the same law firm. So I would say that they would have some sort of a coherence already. They can work as a team, and that's the reason why they got an entire law firm. But of course, there are those other individuals who will be joining the team. Compared to the Corona team, and that would include you, we were 12. But those were the original members of the team. But as we moved along, there were other support lawyers. So I think that would have grown to as many as probably 16 or 18. But again, in the eyes of the public, there were just 12 Corona lawyers at that time.
And I agree with you. We were together in that defense team, and even having 12 lawyers, pagod na pagod tayo, especially when the media started doing interviews as well. I mean, having to take care of the legal side and then also answer questions of the public. Parang kulang pa tayo nun sa 12, no? We were really understaffed. And when you mentioned that they came from just one law firm, what is your observation? We all know in the Philippines, the legal community is small. So,
Yeah.
what can we expect from this law firm, Fortune Narvasa? You're also a seasoned litigator and you also come from a big law firm. Na-encounter niyo po ba itong Fortune Narvasa law firm?
Yes, they're known as a litigation firm. And of course, the senior partners of that law office have had experiences in impeachment in the past. If you would recall, Attorney Fortune was one of the lawyers of the defense of President Estrada at the time. So this is not something new to them. So they're bringing in experience, and of course they could bring it together with the team. So they could guide them, they could actually work together with them, and I think that's some sort of an advantage for them. If you recall, during our time, we're different lawyers, we have different experiences, although our experiences were a bit long. But again, there was a time for us to get to know each other, to adjust, right? And probably that could work to their advantage also because they already know each other.
And in your experience as a defense lawyer for an impeachment trial, what was one of the biggest challenges that you encountered at that time that might help in terms of siguro yung tip natin dito sa
Yeah.
defense team na that's something they can look out for?
Yes. Thank you for that. First is that, of course, there are a number of articles, correct? And of course, some of us were assigned particular articles. I think I was assigned to 2 or 3 articles, but it never reached that point because on the 3rd article, the prosecution already ended it. And as you know, realities of a team is that we were taken from different groups. Or some of us, we don't know each other. There's a period of adjustment. There are those who have strong personalities. There are those who are just quiet. Unlike this, I think they have been working together for quite some time. Although that was not a disadvantage for us. We learned how to work together. We were able to adjust immediately. But I think if we're talking of advantage, they've worked together for some time and they could immediately read each other's reaction. They could probably lay down the theory easier, and the hierarchy was clear. I think the hierarchy there is clear. Who is the most senior? Who is the second level? Who will screen it? Who will prepare the initial draft? Because if all of them are senior lawyers, who among them will prepare? Of course, the assistant of the senior lawyer will have to prepare, and then will be given to the senior lawyer and will be brought up to the rest of the team.
Well, in our case, sa defense team natin, very clear sa hierarchy na ang pinakamataas was retired Justice Cuevas, Serafin Cuevas.
Correct.
But
Right.
I guess tama ka with the rest. It just
Pareho
went
tayo
into oh, like we just started adjusting lang na sino ba yung susunod na pinaka-senior, no? Parang it was really very different. Whereas in this case, you're right. This is all coming from one law firm.
Yeah.
So they already have a very clear hierarchy and they have their own already yung dynamic, no, when working together. And what can you say about the prosecution this time having a spokesperson that's different from their legal team? Because last time, diba, the spokespersons were members of Congress
Yes.
for the
yes.
prosecution. But this time, kakalabas lang din yesterday, si Attorney Odi Bukol, who's from a different, he's not part of Congress, pero siya ang official spokesperson ng prosecution team.
I think they studied that because based on our experience, if you would recall the Corona experience, they were members of Congress and therefore they're expected to position themselves in a manner consistent with the rest of the prosecution team. But here, I think what they would want to project is a spokesperson who will inform, a spokesperson who will speak for the interest of the public. Now, kindly take note that if you had a chance to listen to his interview, I had a chance to listen to his interview, he kept on saying, para sa bayan. That was a very clear message. So what he was trying, it's not, hindi ako bayad, pero para sa bayan. So that's a subliminal, a quiet message that you bring to the public. You are part of this. Come out, listen, support us. That is a very simple and quiet message.
Okay, so it was, you think, a good strategy
I
to have
think it was
someone
a
that's not part of
strategic move.
Congress?
Yes, I think that was a strategic move for them because they could always, the spokesperson could always distance himself with Congress. Ay ako po ay naatasan lamang, gusto ko pong tumulong at ito po ay paliliwanag ko lamang. He could easily distance. And at the same time, he is not a politician. He could say, well, that's their decision. You know. So I think that's a strategic move.
Well, another new development that wasn't present in the past impeachment trials is a spokesperson, this time for the Senate impeachment court. So, meron na tayong 3 sets of spokespersons. What can you say about that? Do you think that's also a correct strategy?
Well, to my mind, the Senate would also want to ease the pressure on from their end, because remember, it has always been the Speaker of the Senate President has been speaking, and to some extent, he has been attacked, right? If you would notice, a lot of his statements have been actually broken down into pieces, given reasons, and there were motivations for his actions. Motivations were given for his actions. So I think what they would want to do is to, at this point in time, insulate the Senate as an institution. Because under the rules of impeachment, they will have to observe political neutrality. So palagay ko, after yung huli nilang, this decision-making, voting, and all of those events that happened on the floor, na realize na distance muna tayo dito. Pabayaan natin si attorney muna, ang spokesperson natin, magpaliwanag, step by step lang naman ito. Hindi ito kailangan, it would not require so much of discretion. He will just explain what is actually happening on the ground.
And during the trial of former Chief Justice Corona, the prosecution dropped the other articles of impeachment. Kasi nga naman napakadaming articles of impeachment at that time. But even then, when they still decided to drop the other articles of impeachment, that trial lasted for almost half a year until end of May. So, do you think itong articles of impeachment na ngayon, matatapos din kaya ito? Or what's your forecast as to how this will play out and how long this impeachment trial will last? Kung tapusin nila lahat ng articles of impeachment.
Tapusin nila to, I understand there are around 7 articles of impeachment. If they would really go through with this would last more than 5 months or 6 months. That's how I would see it. But again, a lot of these things that are happening would depend on how the people react to the situation. If you recall, in the past, it's a race to the mind of the people. It's really forming forming an impression in the mind of the people. And therefore, if the prosecution, to my mind, is convinced that they're ready for a judgment, even if 2, 3 articles of impeachment, they will say, we're done, then you meet our charges. The 3 articles are 4, and then there will be judgment. So this is the prosecution is not prevented from just picking or identifying or stopping at that point in time on the charges or the articles that they would want to prove based on experience from Corona's impeachment.
And how important is it to have a Senate President as the presiding officer of the impeachment court to be also a lawyer? Because in the past we had Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, who was also a lawyer, who presided over the impeachment trial of Chief Justice Corona. And right now we have Senate President Chis Escudero, who's also a lawyer. But there have been rumors of a possible change in the Senate President. Eh kung ang pumalit po hindi lawyer, anong opinion mo? Is that going to be a challenge or kaya ba yan?
Well, kung sanay sa parliamentary rules, why not? Kaya lang, resolution of objections, legal objections is different. Let's say, for example, you say it's a misleading statement, it's a leading, it's a conclusion of fact, it's a conclusion of law, it's a compound question, it draws a conclusion, which is that requires an opinion of an expert. Medyo mabigat yun. Kasi pinag-aaralan talaga sa batas, sa law school yung batas o yung rules of court pagdating sa evidence. So pagdating doon, medyo may advantage yung Of course, may advantage yung abogado na Senate President. If you would recall, nung kay President Estrada, it was the Chief Justice because it is the President who is at trial. You follow? Dito naman, in Corona, it was by chance, the Senate President was Senate President Enrile. Here, we will have to know by the 20th Congress who will be the Senate President. If by chance he is not a lawyer, then I think the rest of them will have to support him. Or probably I would expect that there will be a legal team behind whoever is the Senate President.
And finally, since you were also a spokesperson for the defense team, pinanggalingan mo naman. I remember kasama kita lagi sa mga media briefings as my also kasama na spokesperson. But what is your advice to all the spokespersons of this impeachment trial? Now we have 3 sets. Meron tayo for the prosecution, for the defense, magkakaroon din malamang sila. And then, this time, meron din for the impeachment court.
Well, you just have to listen to the questions and be ready that if they are not able to draw the answers they like from you, they will paraphrase the question. And you should be able to, at least to my mind, tayo noon, if you would recall, our objective is just like to inform the public. In fact, if you would recall, we don't have notes. We just listen to the proceedings. And as it happens, we tell them. We were not actually required to say particular things, if you remember. We just explained what we thought was right and what we felt was right.
I love that point of yours kasi nga wala naman tayong staff, if you remember. Wala naman tayong funding, wala tayong staff. So, wala man lang nagbibigay ng briefing notes sa atin. So, pagka umaga, kanya-kanya tayo, tatanungin tayo sa media.
Kailangan manood. Kailangan manood. Yes.
Tapos, I remember pag nagkita tayo sa trial, lahat tayo, grabe, pero iba-iba yung mga nag-interview sa atin. But pare-pareho naman tayo ng sinabi kahit hindi tayo nag-usap that day before or even that morning. So tama ka, that's a good advice. That just follow based on the merits and then speak from those facts. So?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Attorney Tranquil Salvador.
Okay,
asahan niyo po na interviewin ka namin as this impeachment trial unfolds. So we hope to have you here in the studio.
Thank you, Attorney Karen. Good morning.
2 lawyers, 2 perspectives, and 1 impeachment crisis that continues to test the nation's constitutional resolve. As the debates continue, the legal and political battleground grows sharper by the day. The road ahead is bound to shape not only the fate of one leader, but the future of democratic chaos and balances. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for insights on the implications of the Israel-Iran war. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.